Yes, hello there, everybody. Dodgy Gamer here, once again in your one-stop shop for all things international management on Football Manager 2021. So we've been doing a few Let's Plays recently. We've been looking at some of the custom tournaments I created in action. So today we're going to do a guide rather than a Let's Play, but not a guide to how to play an international management save. We're looking at a guide to how to create an international competition in the editor. So if that's something you're interested in, well, stick around and watch the video, of course. And while you're here, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you get notified anytime one of our international management specials comes up. But for now, it's time to delve into the murky waters that is the FM editor. But first, I should show you, in case you've never used the editor before, how to find it. Well, in Steam, you need to come to your library, and then you see there's a little drop down here. I've already got it set up. Now, as a default, this will be set to games like this. I have a list of your games here. Then you just need to come in and change that to tools. Now, tools will have a list of all the kind of modding tools and different things that come with various games that you own. And then you just need to find Football Manager 2021 editor and download it. And then it's in your Steam library, just like one of your games. And when you load the editor up, it looks like this. You can see the color scheme's the same as the main game, but it's all a bit blank at the moment. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to run through how to create a competition within the game, how to add the rules for that competition and the dates it runs and the frequency with which it runs, all that kind of stuff. And then finally, we're going to add teams into the competition. And what I'm going to do for today, just to keep the video as tight and succinct as possible, we're just going to create one tournament that's just a mini league. So just a group of 4 teams playing together. It's going to be a youth competition, but a lot of the things I'll show you, you can do exactly the same to create a senior international competition. Then I'm going to make a couple of follow-up videos, one where we look at how to make a knockout tournament and one where we look at how to combine those things and have a group stage followed by knockout rounds. But yes, at the moment we've just got the database loaded up. Nothing's been added, nothing's been changed at this moment. So we're going to add in a competition. But before we do that, my first piece of advice before you get started into the editor is to do your research. If you are going to create, or recreate rather, an existing or a past international competition, I suggest you do your research to find out the format. So you should see now a Wikipedia page. This is all it takes sometimes, going on Wikipedia, finding out some information about the tournament. So this is the tournament that we're going to build today, the China ASEAN International Youth Football Tournament. So a real life tournament that's taken place a couple of times. It hasn't taken place so often in recent years. There's no data here for the 2017 page. I don't know whether that means it either didn't take place or nobody's got round to updating the Wikipedia yet, but we get some information from here. We can see how many teams compete, where they come from. We've got the dates it's held. So this is all information that we're going to need when we create the competition in the editor. So that's my advice. Do your research first. Get on Google, get on Wikipedia, find out the details about the tournament, note them down, and then you can go into the editor prepared. Wikipedia, of course, doesn't always have everything you need. Another football site that you can look at, which is an absolute wet dream for any nerd stats, football nerd stats out there, is this one. It looks like a throwback to the early days of the internet, and I think it possibly is. This website is called rsssf.com. I think I've got that right, rsssf.com. And basically, this just has loads and loads of data about various football competitions, club and international, that have taken place, in the history of the game. So I'm not creating this one today, but this is Coupe de la CIMAC. I have actually already created this. You can go and check it out. It's been updated now for 21.4. Links are down in the description. But this is a Central African regional tournament, and you can see, you can go and click on here. You can click on the different years. and you can see how the tournament was run in different years. So we see here it was group stage followed by semi-finals and a final. So you can get all that information here, and that will help you create your tournament. rsssf.com. But anyway, back to the editor. So you've got your research done. You know the competition you want to make, the teams involved, the format of the competition, the dates, all that good stuff. The second thing I would advise you to check before you do anything, so you come in here where it says database, you come down to competitions. It's always worth checking if the competition is already in the database. Not necessarily in the game already, but already in the database. So if you come to add condition and name, and then we can start typing something in. Now, we of course are making a different competition today, but just to give you an example, if you type in home, you see it comes up with Home International Championship. So of course this is a former tournament between the 4 nations of the UK, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. So you see here it's labelled as extinct. But if you wanted to recreate this competition, I already have, again, links down in the description if you want to check that out, but you would just select this, you would make it not extinct anymore, and then you go ahead and add in the rules. The big advantage of doing this is then all the history of the competition, the past winners and so on. And again, if you're that stat nerd who wants all that accuracy in the game, it's already there. So anyway, just to double check, we want to create this China ASEAN tournament, but you can see already it's telling us there's no results found. There's no tournament with that name. So we want to add it ourselves. So I'm aware this is probably being blocked out by my webcam at the moment. There's a button here called add. Just trust me on that. We press add, and then it brings up a competition details page. Now there's a unique ID. You don't need to worry about that. That's just so that the game can recognize your competition, and if you want to add in, graphics for it later, you'll be using that number. But anyway, we need to fill in some details here. The full name of the competition, the short name of the competition, a 3-letter name, and then we'll add in some colors, the colors that will appear on the home screen page of that competition. And then we need to tell the game that it is an international competition and set the reputation, that kind of thing. I'll talk you all through it. So you can see here, I've put in the full name, I've put in China ASEAN Youth Tournament as a short name, CAY as a 3-letter code. I've put in the Chinese flag colours as the main colours for the competition. Now you could add in continent. This is just so that, for example, if I add the continent as Asia, this will appear under the list of international competitions for Asia in the game. However, as you may have noticed when we looked at the Wikipedia page, one of the most recent editions of the competition did have Croatia involved, so it's more of a global competition, so we're going to leave that blank for now. We do need to add in a reputation. So reputation goes from 0 to 200. So the World Cup would be like a reputation of 200, but this is just a minor youth tournament. So we're going to set a fairly low reputation of 15. Trophy type, this is just the kind of standard default trophy that will appear in the top corner of the competition homepage in the game. So I'm just going to select International Cup 2. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Most of these other options for now we don't need. If you did want to add in the history of the competition, you can do that from here. So then you just come and add in the year, and you add in who was first placed, who was second placed, who was the host nation, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that for now, but that's just something, if you want that completeness for your tournaments, you might want to consider doing. So anyway, we've got this now added to the database, but we need some rules for it to work. So what we need to do, come to the rules drop down menu and click add international rules. So the first thing we come up with is the update day. So all this is the day when the competition resets in the game. So when it moves from the home screen showing the most recent tournament and the most recent winners to showing the next competition will be scheduled on blah blah blah. So I've done my research for this competition. It usually takes place in late February or early March. Now the way it works, you have to have a minimum of a month before the date of the competition for the draw to be made, and then a minimum of a month before that for the reset day. So as the competition is in February, I'm going to put my reset day as September, the 1st of September. That gives us enough time. So we come to competitions. We want to then click on add, And then this comes up with rules. So where it says rules, we just click on general. And now where it says competition, we click on search, add condition. So a little bit similar to what we did before in the competitions menu. And now when we type in China, it's here. The China ASEAN International Youth Football Tournament is here in the game. So we just select that and hit OK. And here we go. It says international final. So we're just going to edit that slightly. This is, of course, as the name gives away, a youth tournament. Now, I couldn't actually find any information about what age category this particular youth tournament is. I'm going to make the assumption that it's an under-19 final because Asian teams often have under-19 competitions, much like their European counterparts, rather than under-20 competitions. They don't tend to have under-21 competitions. They tend to jump up to under-22 or under-23. But, of course, the European nations don't have those. So under-19 is going to be the best one, I think. Year interval. So this is to say how often the competition takes place. So obviously World Cup is every 4 years, and then we've got tournaments like the African Cup of Nations every 2 years. Other competitions will be every year. Now this particular competition, when it was active, was running every year, so I'm going to leave the year interval as 1. Number of teams in the competition, of course, we set to 4. Now draw date. So this is the date when the 4 teams that are in the competition will be placed into their groups. So I want this competition to take place in late February. 2021 will be the first time it comes up, so I'm going to set the draw to the 2nd of January 2021. So there we go, that's done. Maximum team size, 23-man squad. Host nation. Now, of course, in this case, this tournament always takes place in China. So what I'm going to do, I know it says rotate from nation list, but then the nation list I'm going to create here is just China, and that's it. So when this tournament is drawn, it will always take place in China. However, if you wanted it to be, if you're setting up a competition where it's going to be a different host every time, you could pick from participating teams. So whichever teams qualify for the competition, it'll be one of those that hosts it. Or you could choose random or rotate from nation list, and then just here add several countries who could potentially host the competition. Okay, now teams. Here, we're just going to do one simple step now. We're going to click on add, and then number of teams over here, we're just going to confirm that that's 4. Now, I might be missing something here. I'm not a full-blown expert on the editor. I'm just passing on to you what I've learnt. But when I first created international competitions back on the original version of the FM21 database, I was able to directly select the teams here. For some reason, since the winter update, the 21.3 update, you can't do that anymore. But we're going to come back to this later. We're going to pop briefly into the advanced rules editor to add the teams, but don't worry about that. I'll show you how to do it shortly. So match rules is the next thing, substitution rules. So we've activated those, and we're going to set that to 3 from 12, which is the standard in most international tournaments these days. Discipline rules, this is just about how many yellow cards before someone gets a suspension, the number of games they're suspended after a red card. I'm just going to leave that on the defaults for now, but you can edit that if you want to. And then we come to stages of the competition. So this is where you can construct your competition, whether you're having knockout rounds, group stages, or just a straightforward league. So for today, for this particular tutorial, we're looking at creating a mini league competition. So you notice when I click on add, it automatically adds a knockout round. But we just come down here, click on knockout round, and then we get the option to edit it. So we're going to change that from knockout round to league. So this is just going to set up that round robin competition that we want. So number of teams starting, of course, will be 4. I don't know that we actually have to add that, but we'll put it in anyway. There's no next stage, so we don't need to tick that box. They're all going in the same group, so we don't need to worry about seedings. What we do need to change number of rounds, we change it to 1, because, of course, we just want them to play each other once, a single round robin. We don't want them playing each other 2 or more times. League sorting rules. So I'm just going to add a few things here. Now, it depends on the competition you're recreating or what you yourself prefer and want to do. But I'm going to set it up like this. First of all, it's goal difference, then it's goals for or goals scored, then the third tiebreaker will be matches between teams, and then we'll go on to the discipline route, so red cards, yellow cards, and that should help them to separate the teams. Now at the bottom, dates, so these are the dates that the matches will be played. So we're having a mini league for teams, so there are going to be 3 match days basically. So what we'll do, we'll just add 1 match day for now. Now I want this to take place in late February, so I'm going to put the date in as the 24th of February 2021. We'll make it an evening kickoff, so let's say 7:30. We'll make it there using the 24-hour clock, of course. Then if I just select that and I say duplicate it twice, this just saves a little bit of time. Then all I need to do is edit the date to create the other 2 match days. So these kind of tournaments, I find they're often played with quite a quick turnaround, so just 1 day's rest between games. So we've set it up like that. So the match days will be the 24th, 26th and 28th of February. Okay, so now we've made 41 changes to the database and it's not yet verified. So I'll just explain what that means now. I would say at this stage, if you haven't done so already, you need to save the edited data. So I'm just going to save this China ASEAN Youth V1 because I will be making further saves later, and we're just going to change the names to V2, V3, V4. I recommend you do that, so if you make a mistake and you need to backtrack, you can just go back to a previously saved version rather than have to start all over again. Okay, so we've saved the editor data, and now what we can do is come back up to this rules and we click test rules. So this, the editor will just have a look at the rules you've created just to make sure that there are no clashes. So we've clicked that. It says the current international rules are valid, so that's great. One thing it commonly picks out here, if I just make a little mistake while I'm putting things together, I might, for example, set one of the match days to 2020 instead of 2021 or something like that, and then it'll just tell me that I've got 2 matches taking place a year apart, so then I can fix it. But that's all good. You can see now it's changed it to verified, so that's great. So the final stage is to add those teams, which, you know, we weren't able to do before. So this is where we just dip briefly into the advanced rules editor. So we come to rules and we select convert to advanced rules. As it says here, this allows just for some extra things to be done. Don't worry too much about it for now. We're just coming in here for something quite specific. So it's already got us on that page, international competitions, China ASEAN International Youth Football Tournament, and we just want to come down here. Now you see a lot of the information we've already inputted, it's already here. So you can see here it's got it as the under 19 international final. We've got the stages in here, our league stage and so on. I mean, all of this information we've already put in. We don't need to change anything else here at the moment. What we do need to change though is the teams. Now you see here teams, there's a list of teams under the stage. This is not where we need to look. We need to scroll further down past that to where we get a main branching part of the menu called teams and qualified teams. That's what we want. So the number of qualified teams is 4. Now the default setting is best national teams. If you leave it like this, you're going to end up with a tournament with like Brazil, Spain, Belgium, France, those kind of nations in it. So we want to change that. So where it says type, now first of all, remember this competition is always hosted in China with China taking place. So what we want to do is scroll down until we find, if I can just get that out of the way of my webcam, hopefully, get specific team. Then if we scroll down a bit, you'll see it's automatically set it to Algeria, just because Algeria are first in the alphabetical list of FIFA nations. So we're just going to change that to China. We need to, of course, pick China PR. And then that's it. China will be there always in the competition. We don't have to worry about setting that to under 19. That should be done automatically. But we need 3 more teams now. This is the China ASEAN tournament. So ASEAN, that's Southeast Asia. Now, normally there are 2 or 3 teams from Southeast Asia. So what we're going to do, we're going to say 2 just to keep things simple. So we add it says as a default, get all teams from division. What we're going to change that to, if we scroll down again, is get random teams from team pool. And then we need to scroll down here. Now, there are options here. You can choose, for example, continent. So you can say, pick 2 random teams from Asia, which, could serve a purpose for us, but we want specifically Southeast Asia. So to get that, what we're going to have to do, a little bit of a long-winded way, but sometimes things in this editor are long-winded. You come to Team Pool, you click Add, you get the same thing coming up again. It's kind of like an Inception moment, but don't worry, it will make sense eventually. Again, we're going to go to Get Specific Team, and it's given us Algeria. What we need to do now is to add those teams that are in that Southeast Asian region. So, for example, Thailand. Thailand are in the Southeast Asian region, so we tell it to pick Thailand. We've got them there, great. Now, if you've done your research in advance online, you'll know that there are actually 12 teams in the ASEAN Football Subfederation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit duplicate times 11. So it's put Thailand in now 12 times. But what we're going to do is just go through each one and edit the team. So we change the name from Thailand to one of the other teams in the region. So, for example, one of the others is actually Australia. Australia are officially part of ASEAN. They don't actually compete in the Southeast Asian Championship in the game, although they do compete in the youth championships I've created. So we're going to put them in here. So now you can see it's changed that to Australia. And then we're just going to continue ahead, adding in each of those nations that could possibly join the competition one by one. All right, so skipping ahead, I've added in all those teams from the ASEAN Federation. So if we just scroll up, there was just one more thing I needed to do up here. So we've said we want random teams from the team pool. We want them to be under 19 teams. And of course, we forgot this bit. Whoops, maximum number of teams, 2. So if we scroll back up now, we'll see it's always going to give us China. And then we're going to get random team from team pool, under 19 team, and 2 of them. Right, so we've got our pool of teams from the Southeast Asian region. It's going to pick 2 of those 12 teams at random. Now we need one more team, which is going to be our European team. So what we'll do for that, slightly different this time, we're going to go here again. And what I want to do is I just want a random national team. So I'm going to choose random national team. We'll make that team type under 19, just to be safe. And then continent, we're going to come here to continent. And you can see, here's one I made earlier. We're going to set that to Europe. And then we just want to add that the maximum number of teams is 1. And now you see we've got it here. So we've got a specific team, China. Have mentioned now we did go to team type and make that under 19 team. Then just to be safe, then we've got 2 teams picked from a list of 12, which are all those Southeast Asian nations. And then we'll have one under 19 team that is picked from Europe. So now we are just going to save the editor data. So this time I'm calling it V2. Just so if we want to go back and fix anything about the teams, we can do that. You see here it says not verified. Now this time when we come to the rules, we get the option to test rules. So this will take a little bit longer than before. Before it was an instant check that everything about the structure of the competition and the dates was fine. What this is going to do is kind of almost run a mini simulation of the tournament without going into Football Manager itself. And then we're going to see, just double check that everything works. We've got the right number of teams, no dates clashing, all that kind of stuff. So we'll just let it do that. And then I'll show you the next stage. Okay, now obviously I've edited this down. This has taken like 2 or 3 minutes to run. Now you see it's simulating up to 2023. So it's kind of gone through a 4-year cycle. And yeah, we've got the verified up here. So what we do now is we'll just hit save editor data. So that's now saved, it's verified and saved. So the final thing to do is to just go to the game and check that it actually works. Alright, so I've loaded up the game. We're going to come to start new game, Korea, obviously. Then, in case you haven't seen me do this before, this is just how you get these additional files working in the game. And this is the same whether you've created it yourself or you've downloaded it and put it in your editor data folder. You just come here to database and you click the drop down menu. If you're using an earlier database, you can change it, of course. Now you see here, these are all the competitions I've created, and to test it, check out the Steam Workshop. Links in the description if you want to download any of those. Okay, now all these are leagues that I downloaded but for a previous database, so they're not going to work with 21.4. But here we can see the two versions of our tournament. So of course we want to check China ASEAN Youth version 2. So we're just going to confirm that. And then we go to advanced setup. So that's now added that file to the base game. Now we're just testing things out here. So what I'm going to do is just load the Chinese league. It makes sense that it's that league that we use to test it. I'm just going to set it to one league only because we're not actually going to play. We're just going to test. So we'll put the database to small as well. Now the start date for China is the 1st of February. So in theory, when we get into the game, the draw should have already been made. Okay, so we don't need to worry about the profile of the manager too much. We're just going to start unemployed. Okay, so we should now find in the search bar at the top that we type in China ASEAN, and there it is, our China ASEAN Youth Tournament. So you see the draw has been made, and funnily enough, Croatia, the last real-life European team to compete, have been drawn in it again. And we got Laos and Myanmar together with China. So that's all set up. If we just come and have a look at the schedule for the under-19 squads, there you go. The China ASEAN Youth Tournament taking place on the 24th, 26th and 28th of February as we wanted it to. So you can also find the competitions. You can come to the browser, World International Competition. We should find it there. There you go, China ASEAN Youth Tournament. So you can see now it's been played. Croatia were the winners. Well done to them. China second. What I would recommend you do from here, just to fully make sure that everything's working as it should, is to holiday through a couple more cycles of the tournament. So at least another year to the second tournament, maybe even going for a full 4-year international cycle so you can be sure that this tournament works properly. So there you go, folks. We've done it. We have been into the editor. We have created a competition. We've added rules and fixture dates for the competition. We've added teams for the competition, and we've been into the game to check that it works. I do hope you found that useful. Of course, we just today focused on that round robin league. I will make another video if there's enough demand for it. Do let me know down in the comments. I'll make another video showing you how to make a group stage tournament, how to make a knockout tournament for international teams as well. But if you have enjoyed today's episode and found it useful, please drop me a comment down to let me know. And, you know, I'll make more of this content if that's what people are interested in. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video and found it useful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click on that notification bell as well. I'm Dodgy Gamer, and I'll see you again soon.